Okay, guys, we are jumping into topic D. As part of topic D, starting tomorrow, we're going to begin to look at word problems. And when we look at word problems, we're not just going to be only doing division, because that's kind of what we finished with was division. We're going to be using our knowledge of all the different operations. So we would be adding fractions, multiplying fractions, subtracting and dividing fractions. So today in our homework, we're on lesson 19 because tomorrow in class, we'll be doing lesson 19. So let's take a look at this page and let's look at problem number 1 together. So it says that we're going to use the read, draw, write process to solve each problem. And that just means that we're going to, if we need to draw a picture to help us understand, we could do that. And if we need to, we definitely need to read, right? We need to understand what the problem is saying. So let's look at it. A container has 3/4 quarts of milk. 1/3 of the milk is poured into a bowl. How many quarts of milk are poured into a bowl? Okay. So I'm thinking about this and I'm thinking about what am I starting with? So like, is there an amount that I'm beginning with? Because that's kind of where I start. So it says a container has this amount of milk and it looks like they're pouring a certain amount of that milk into a bowl. So I'm going to look for clues. So first of all, I know that we're starting with this amount. This is the amount we're starting with, 3/4 of milk. And we're pouring this amount into a bowl. And what do they want me to find out? They want to know how many quarts of milk are poured into the bowl. So they really want to know, out of this 3 quarts of milk, what amount would be 1/3 of 3 quarts? So that's our big clue. We're asking the question, what is 1/3? I'm going to write this up here, 1/3 of 3/4. And do you remember we said that that word of, sorry, that's a very bad 4. When we see that word of, that could imply if we're trying to find a portion of something, that we're going to be multiplying to do that. So we're going to be taking 3/4 or 1/3 and multiplying it times 3/4. Okay. So when we do multiplication, we're multiplying straight across. So we have 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12. Oh, but I'm not going to do that. Before I do that, I'm going to remember I can cross cancel. I can cross cancel these. And then I have my simplified answer. And I see that 1 times 1 is 1. And 1 times 4 is 4. So our answer is 1/4. And then we're going to use words because it's a word problem. Quarts of milk are poured. Okay, so there we go. We have our first problem down. Let's look at our second problem. We have Blake wants to fill bags of coffee that weigh ½ pound each. He has 3 pounds of coffee. How many bags can Blake fill? So let's think about this. So again, it's what does he want to do? He's filling bags of coffee, and each bag is going to weigh ½ pound each. So I'm imagining there's bags, and I can only put like a ½ pound in each of those bags. He has 3 pounds of coffee. Okay, so I'm asking myself, what amount is he starting with? Like, what's the total amount he has? And this to me is the amount we're starting with. We've got 3 pounds of coffee. And then what is he doing with that 3 pounds of coffee, right? Is he taking something away from it? Is he adding something to it? Well, it says he wants to take his 3 pounds and he wants to fill bags. And he wants to fill each bag with a ½ pound each, right? So there's lots of ways I could do that. I could draw a picture, right? I could draw a picture that could help me. I could do a problem. I think our word problem would be like 3 divided by half. I think it's a division problem. But maybe I could even say, well, I could draw a picture of this. Here's my 3 pounds. I could use my 3 rectangles, and I could say this represents my 3 pounds, and each bag is getting a half of that pound. I could break these in half and see how many pieces I have. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bags worth, right? I could draw a picture to show that it's 6 bags. Or I could say 3 divided by 1/2. Either one is going to get me that answer. So if I'm doing this, my first thing is I'm going to put my 3 over 1. So I'm going to say 3 divided by 1/2. And then I'm going to do my keep, switch, flip. Keep my first. Remember, I have to be in the correct order. Switch to multiplication and flip. And I end up with my same answer, which is 6, right? So how many bags can he fill? 6 bags. Okay, let's take a look at the next problem. A florist spends 1/3 an hour making 4 flower bouquets. If each bouquet takes the same amount of time to make, what fraction of 1 hour is spent making each bouquet? So this is like, I have to think about this for a minute, right? So she's saying that 1/3 of an hour says making 4 bouquets. So for every third of an hour, she can make 4 bouquets. If each bouquet takes the same amount of time, what fraction of 1 hour is spent making a bouquet? Okay, so I have to think about this. They're giving us 1/3 of an hour, and they're telling us how many flowers she's able to make in that third of an hour. So if I want to figure out like what portion of this amount it is, I'm kind of doing 1/3 divided by 4. 1/3 of the hour divided between the 4 flower bouquets. Okay, so let's do our method. I would write my problem first, 1/3 divided by 4 over 1. And then I would do my keep, flip, switch. So keep, switch, flip. I say it backwards all the time. Keep my third, switch to multiplication, and flip this. So then I can multiply and I get 1/12. So 1/12 of an hour is spent making each bouquet. Okay, let's look at our last problem. This one actually wants us to, I'm going to fold this over. I just run out of space. This one actually has us writing a word problem. So let's take that look at that together and think about what we're going to do there. It says, write a word problem that can be solved evaluating 3/5 times 5. So I'm thinking multiplication problem, and maybe I'm thinking like using that idea of a multiplication as of, like a portion of something. Like I have 5 of something and I want to know what 3/5 of it is. Okay, so I'm going to say, I'm going to use my name. You can use your name too. Mrs. Shaver has 5 pizzas. Her students ate 3/5 of the pizzas. Maybe we can say, how many pizzas did they eat? So it wants us to write a word problem, which we just did, and then we're going to solve the word problem. So again, I'm going to ask myself, what amount did I start with? And we already know what our math is going to be. It's 3/5. We want to know what 3/5 of 5 is. So we could take our pizzas and we could multiply it together. 3/5 times 5/1, right? And do you see an opportunity to cross cancel? I do. So I see 3 and I see 1. So our answer is 3 pizzas. Could I draw a picture that could help me understand that? Okay, because if it's kind of easy in this case, right? If I have 5 pizzas, I guess I can use circles. Here's my 5 pizzas. I already have something that is in 5s. My denominator is 5. So could I kind of look at each of these pizzas, right? This denominator could be my 5 pizzas. This happened to work out this way. So 1, 2, 3, 5 pizzas. If I'm eating 3 out of 5, or 3/5 of them, I'm eating 3 out of the 5 pizzas. So yeah, all right. All right, so that is your homework for tonight. We just did it together. Tomorrow you'll be trying out some word problems on your own. You can do it.